welcome to episode 72 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Stefan JD.
Stuart Hughes.
Sam Mercer with no good Russian accent.
That was good. That was good on you too. And before we get too far, I want to mention something quick. We are actually going to be doing the first giveaway on Games My Mom Found. So, big deal. And what you would be getting, you would be getting a Steam code to S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl, the first game. The best one that I played so far this series.
The best one I've played so far out of the two, arguably 6 games.
Yes. So, you will get a Steam code. I already have the code. I'm just waiting. So, what are we going to do is I'll talk about the end of the show too, but all you have to do is make a post, make a tweet, make an Instagram thing about Games My Mom Found, whatever the hell episode you want to mention, something about Games My Mom Found, how much you enjoy us, screenshot it. You could email to us at gamesmymomfound@yahoo.com. Send it to on Facebook Messenger at gamesmymomfound. Send it on, tweet it to me at gamesmymomfound.
You want them to just at us on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, hell, add us too. Just make some kind of tweet, and then I will enter you into the drawing, and then I will use a random generator to pick whoever. So that's how you enter the drawing. And we will. You have until next time that we do recording. So the contest closed on May 31st, 2020 U.S. time when we record this 1 p.m. Then I will cut it off and I will pick somebody. So you have till then to get an entry in. So you have about a week. Maybe I should go longer. We should.
Yeah, you got a week. Fuck it, you got a week.
So there's the contest. So we're doing our first contest, and if it works, I got plenty more Steam keys to give away, but for less good games. But more Steam
for less good games.
I got some real.
I still have like 5 copies of Bad Rats on Steam if anyone wants this.
I think I have a copy too.
What the fuck is Bad Rats?
It's just a really
sounds
shitty
like you
game.
need my copy.
Oh god. It's this really, really shitty Steam game that like there was a joke going around. People would just like send copies of this game to people. So there was a point where I had like 10 copies in my Steam inventory just because people kept sending me copies of this fucking game. It's just
I guess we know it might be another giveaway, huh?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, actually, I'm going to force everyone to have a copy of Bad Rats, and the giveaway will be for me taking the game back out of your inventory.
All right. And Stu, since this is your pick, why don't you introduce what we're going to be talking about?
Sure. And apologies to everybody, because behind the scenes, I literally just walked into my fucking house. I was out of town, walked in, got home, sat down, and was like, all right, let's start recording.
Pretty much.
So we are playing a follow-up to our 17th episode game almost a year ago. A little over a year ago.
Really? Oh my god.
It's a little over a year ago that we did S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl.
Wow.
You're playing the second game of the series, the prequel to the first game, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky.
Clear.
Yeah.
Same company, same publisher. Came out a little bit about a year later.
Same ridiculous difficulty.
Same ridiculous difficulty. And
what year did it come out in?
This came out 2008. The first game came out 2007. And this game it came out. The first game came out in March 2007. This came out in August 2008. So they were like,
we released that episode on May 7th, 2019. So a little over a year.
A little over a year. So that's actually pretty close. That's not bad.
It wasn't planned. That's the best part. None of that was planned.
Was this the longest we've gone between playing an original game and a sequel now?
Hey, how's that Golden Sun sequel coming?
Yeah, that'll be the longest.
Okay.
That'll be like 5 years. But 5 years later,
yes,
we'll play.
This is probably. We don't play sequels all the time in this show, so.
We're slowly working our way through a couple series like Resident Evil, Silent Hill.
Resident Evil more so. We played 2 Silent Hill games so far.
We've played the worst Resident Evils.
Yep.
And the most average Silent Hills.
Even here.
Stefan, I'm depending on you to curb Mike's taste in Resident Evil. I depend on you to recommend the better titles.
My favorite is
Oh,
still Dead Aim, where Mike is like, we're playing Dead Aim, and both Stefan and I were like, why?
Why?
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Hey, Dead Aim was good.
What?
I
Dead Aim's on my shelf.
I admittedly enjoyed it more than I thought I would. To give Mike credit for that, and Mike has to give me due credit for this game coming out, because this was like the first PC game we played, and I love playing these kinds of games because Mike has like a million questions to ask, and I never want to say anything to him, and so our messaging board is just like Mike being like for this one, you kept sending me like, I killed 20 guys, and I was like, good job. Like, what do you, like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to say anything about like what happened.
So what we should say, as we said before, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is a prequel to what happens in Shadow of Chernobyl. It's
a direct lead up to where that story begins. It's
a survival. This game is classified as a survival horror first-person shooter, which I think is 100% accurate.
It's technically a first-person shooter. to be as annoying as possible, quite technically, it's an FPS survival horror RPG.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go RPG because you're not leveling anything up.
Your leveling is like
you level your guns up, essentially.
That's upgrading your guns. They don't level up by people you shoot in the head.
No, but what this game does, which we'll get into, because I listened to the first episode, and I was like, what do we need to talk about that this game does differently specifically? One of the things that this game does differently is the God race. One of the things that this game does do differently is it's a much more refined experience, and you can actually upgrade some weapons and armor a little.
I never did that,
which Mike didn't do for some reason,
which is shocking.
Yeah,
I did a lot of running.
Listen,
I ran all the time.
I had the macro off, and I was like, this is a piece of shit. And, like, literally the first vendor I found was a guy who's like, hey, I can upgrade that. And I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Oh, okay, we can make this gun not shit. It was still shit, but it was slightly better.
It was slightly less shit. It was a polished turd.
Oh, and we forgot to mention this was developed by GSC Game World, too.
GSC Game World, and published by Deep Silver. Published by them originally, and then later published by Deep Silver, I should say.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, I discovered all of the gun models are mirror images of their real life guns. So like the chambers, the actions are on the opposite side, the side facing the shooter.
Yeah.
Which was extremely unpractical because you would not want, hot shell casings flying at your arm. But I'm sure they did that to like, I don't know, avoid.
You'd be amazed what games do that. It happens more often than you might think. The most notable example is like all the Fallout games have a left-handed hunting rifle because they really want you to see. They really want you to see you
looks better.
Like rack the bolt and like, oh, it just looks cooler. When in reality, I guarantee you, there's not 3,000 left-handed hunting rifles floating around Washington D.C.
Oh, another thing we should say, this game takes place in where Chernobyl was, essentially so many years after the accident that happens in real life. But in this world, that the radiation has mutated monsters, mutated people, made things called anomalies, which are just weird anomalies.
Yeah, got there.
I don't know how to say it. Like tornadoes that spin around and spin you in a circle and drain all your health. I mean, that's an anomaly.
Basically what they are.
I think we mentioned this in the first episode, which I'm not going to point anyone back to because it was our 17th episode. And I'm not saying this sounds good. I'm working on it. But like the 17th episode is a little rough audibly.
I haven't listened to it in a long time.
I was listening to it on the way back and I was like, oh yeah, our mics are cutting out constantly. It's like Sam is just like super whiny and high pitched.
Hell yeah.
We actually got the original. This is the original crew from the Stalker episode as well.
Oh yeah,
because we had just lost DJ right before this too.
Yeah, I think Sam, you were one of our first guests. Very early. Like, hey, you want to be on Stalker? And you're like, yeah. And a year later, hey, you want to be on Stalker Clear Sky?
And a year later, do you want to be on Call Pripyat?
Yeah, I look forward to Call
Sign me up.
For a year.
I got a year to play it now.
Yeah.
So Clear Sky does some things differently than the first game. I mean, one thing we should kind of say for those that don't know is I said before, it is a first-person shooter, but it's very different. One, you have a regenerating health bar, but very, very slowly, and it doesn't really feel like it half the time because you're always damn bleeding. Mm-hmm. When you get shot in this game, you're bleeding. If you don't use a Band-Aid or a bandage, you're just you're gonna bleed out eventually, or you're not gonna regain health, and it's
a bleeding simulator.
It plays a big part. It's annoying. Also, you get money, but at least when I played this game, I never had fucking money. I could never get money. I played this game wrong, though. I'm gonna find that out real fast.
No, you didn't. Yeah. I complained to Stuart. I was like, I've been robbed twice. This is bullshit. They've taken everything that I have.
I got robbed. Then I reloaded, and I robbed them.
My favorite part of that is that Mike was in that same scenario as you, at a pretty similar time. Like, you messaged me about that, and then Mike messaged me about that, and Mike did not message me about getting robbed, and I was like, did he not realize that he doesn't have any money left? Or I don't want to be like, check your wallet.
Well, what happens is, for those that don't know, this game does have some randomly generated events too, but there's a part where you go through a tunnel. You don't have to, I found out. You go through this tunnel, and you'll get up to a guy, and you'll see guys throughout this game that be like, hey, put that weapon down, and I'll talk to you. So I put my weapon down, I walk over, and then he fucking robbed me. Normally, he just let you pass. He talked to you. He took all my money, and I'm like, all right, that's it. I reloaded, walked back to him. He's like, put down your gun. I just shot him in the head and started shooting everybody in the head. It didn't work out so well, but they didn't rob me this time.
This is why Mike would never survive in like a Walking Dead scenario. Hey, put down your gun and come talk to me. Okay.
Well, all the time in this game, you get up to encampments that people will say, put down your gun and we'll talk to you. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's probably one of those encampments.
You seem nice.
Seems reasonable. Seems like a good guy.
You can like look at that guy too before you walk up to him. You can stare at him, and it comes up with his little name and his little description, and it's like so and so bandit.
Well, I didn't go over his name. I didn't realize how to use the flashlight until way later in this game. That I realized, oh, there's a flashlight you can use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was very much missing night vision. Jesus Christ, I could never see anything.
Okay, so it wasn't just me that this game is super dark.
No, it's a very like all three of the games are very like dark, tonally and visually.
Yeah. Well, also, who attacked the military base the first time they encountered it?
Oh yeah,
talk about the machine gun nest.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I love,
that part was fucking hell. You're only been playing the game about like let's say an hour. You come out of a tunnel in like the second or third area, and there's a guy in a machine gun nest, just shooting at you constantly. I ran for my life, but
yeah.
You can attack it.
You can if you want. I like to think that was like a direct answer to the first game, because the first game everybody attacks the military base immediately to get better weapons.
I did too.
And in this game they were like, we'll just put a fucking turret on top of it and no one's gonna attack that shit.
I have a whole story about that. And this story starts with this is the only time I've ever looked something up for a stalker
Really?
game, because I was so stuck. And I'm going to tell you why I was so stuck. I was hunting around in the swamps for a long time because I had a lot of fun, following around the AI and taking bases and stuff. I don't know why, but I think it's a combination of the guns being like mediocre to adequate at best, the AI being dumb when it's on your side, and just deadly enough when it's on the enemy side to make things always interesting whenever you're interacting with anyone. But I'm hunting around, and I shit you not, in the first 30 minutes, I find a completely broken VSS. And I'm convinced it's in the north end of the swamp. I'm not shitting you. You can find it. I found a completely broken VSS, and I was convinced that when go into Cordon and you engage with the machine gun nest, which I died like 50 times at, I was convinced that I had to find ammo to take out the sniper's nest and make enough money to actually get it repaired. And so I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to get past that fucking machine gun nest. Finally gave up and searched, and literally everyone was like, yeah, just run like hell and you'll be fine. I was so fucking mad. I was so mad that motivated me to go back and kill everyone at the machine gun base once I got around it. Immediately, found my good spot, pressed F5, and then charged in and abused the hell out of the dumb AI.
Yeah, every time I do that area,
no, what's really disappointing is like, I go in and I'm like, okay, finally I'm gonna have some money. I'm gonna farm the stuff. You farm everything, you run it back to the base, you sell it, you come back, and the AI respawns.
Oh,
like
yeah.
9 or 10 of them. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I killed all of you.
Because they call the military base and they're like, hey, is anyone out there? I guess we should probably send more guys at this military base. It's like vitally important.
It's miserable. I can't believe they punished you for the first game raiding the military base hard.
That VSS you find, I wonder if that's there's no way that's like Scar's like standard weapon, because Scar's like notable weapon is a Vintar BC. I wonder if that's like his broken weapon that
it's in a weird spot, so I don't think so. But yeah, it's on the north end of the swamps, like in the very beginning. I went up there, funny enough, to try and see if I could find a way around that machine gun nest, because it's like, you walk up and it's like, oh, we know the stalker's here. We know exactly where he is, and we're going to fire nonstop. Super accurate rounds until he's dead.
I like how you can later go back to the top area and just like skip the whole cordon. But like the first time they're like, nah, you gotta fight that guy. You gotta wish I knew that.
About this game we should mention is it does use most of the same map from the first game.
Yes.
At least a good chunk of it.
Yeah, so it's I kind of liken this to like the BioShock 2 of this series, where you're still in Rapture. You just like occasionally you go to different parts, but this game is like so much more like direct in that. Like you start off in this area called the swamps, which I think they referenced in the first game, but you don't go. It might have been cut from the first game. And after that, you go like straight into the cordon and the garbage, and like the rest of the game is exactly like the first one, the same map, to the point that you're even going to like the same power plant at the end.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the same areas, a lot of the same people.
Same people.
It was less ruined though.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a prequel, which I guess some people didn't realize when it came out, including Sam, who didn't realize it while he was playing it this time.
Listen, I get lost in the firefights. The firefights are just so like, I don't know what it is about the grinding, but you're always grinding to the next gun, and I get completely lost in that. But I never found a single, besides the story one, I never found a single artifact. Like they were all gone. Like
I didn't find any
One either.
That's you guys played a broken version of the game, I think.
I watched the video at one point. I got really fucking stuck near the end, and the guy had all these artifacts. I'm like, where the fuck do you get artifacts from? Like, I never saw a single artifact other than the story one that they make you grab at all in this game. So, okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me.
This one, I played this game a couple times where like the emissions don't happen as frequently as they sometimes are supposed to. But whenever there's an emission, more artifacts spawn, and so this game introduces the mechanic where like you could feasibly get infinite artifacts.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know what an emission is in this game, it's basically the screen turns yellow and you just start dying.
Yeah,
fucking bullshit.
It's
radiation.
Yeah, it's an added aspect of this game. Which
there was one part where this game likes to do areas where it doesn't want you to go through, so you get radiated. But there were points where like I need to get through there because it's a faster route to my goal. So what I would do is I check my inventory. I would disrobe a few things and drop equipment and run through the radiated area and just inject myself with the anti-radiation medicine.
Oh, no, you gotta drink vodka. Vodka's the only way.
Yeah.
You're drinking a vodka and your screen starts to like fly all over the place and you start wanting to throw up.
There was a part in this game where I had an emission in front of me, 20 zombies were around me. Yeah. I had one of those fucking tornado things right next to me, and there was one of those feral stalker dudes like jumping around.
What are those things called?
A snork?
Yeah, those things are brutal.
Yeah. It sounds like a Steely Dan song. Zombies to the left of me, dogs to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle of my death. That's all I got. It didn't work as good as I was hoping.
Was that Steely Dan?
It's a Steely Dan song. Jokers to the left of me, clowns to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
That was Steelers Wheel that sung that.
It's the same group.
Is it?
Yeah.
I learned something today.
Their name later on.
Oh, I have to completely I have to watch Oh Hello on Broadway again.
Oh, hello.
I need to get my Steely Dan knowledge up.
We were mentioning like earlier with like the swamp. In the early part of the game, they kind of introduce this idea where you're taking bases. Like you'll fight through, you'll end up taking out some bandits, and you'll take over a section, and these NPCs with you will then occupy that same base. I did it in the first part of the game, but I never did it again. I don't know if it's still around or I just ran for my life a lot.
I had messaged in the group chat. I was like, so this is the game? This is all we're doing is just taking over bases? I was asking Stu that because I thought that's all it was. I knew it was a prequel, so
I can't remember what I said. I tried so hard not to say anything about games like this because so much of it is just like you gotta find out for yourself.
Mike spoiled the ending for me before I got there.
Like 100% in the chat was like, "Oh, so this happened," and I was like, "Fuck, okay, I guess we'll just talk about it."
Like, not like there's spoilers for the Stalker, but you're not playing this game for the story.
That's true. We do mention a couple times in the first episode for Shadow of Chernobyl how the story is not really the point of the game. The point of the game is the world.
I kind of like the story in this one, though. It was very interesting.
I didn't read anything they said. I just ran. I ran constantly in this game. I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to run. That's all I did.
I just like running.
I think the game suffers a little bit from like extremely long dialogue sequences, but if you're patient enough to sit down and listen to it, which I'm not always patient enough, it is interesting. But like the world is just so much more interesting that I'm like, well, tell me what you need to do. I want to get back out there. It's kind of the feeling that I usually got.
It's the problem. It's the problem. It's the problem of like they've created an incredibly interesting world that people just want to exist in, and then they're writing a story that is interesting, but it's not nearly as interesting as like the 30 side dogs that want to kill you around the corner.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you gotta make the choice to be like, all right, like tell me what I need to know.
I actually
skip. Let me fight.
that first night I played this game, I actually went and got some vodka, and I was just taking a couple shots here and there.
There you go.
Then,
That's the right way to play.
Every time you go to an encampment, they're like, "How you doing, Stalker?" And I was just like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" By like shot 10, I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
I got a question for you.
Fuck you.
Only you can answer. And so it's weird to me. Why did none of the Russians in this game said bro all the time? I don't understand. I thought Russians just say bro. No one gets that joke because no one's heard the episode we haven't released yet.
Inside jokes to people on the outside. Yeah.
Hawkeye 2012 comic.
What Mike doesn't realize is that there's a character named Nimble who only calls you bro.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I was like, what a weird thing to say, considering like every time you talk to Nimble in these games, he's like, "What's up, bro?"
I don't think I ever got to. I only talk to people that the game made me talk to.
I'm gonna say, before you say you never got to him, he's in the first encampment.
Attention.
He sells you information. Nimble's like one of the only through lines throughout all three games. He exists. He's just like constantly in the zone.
So I do have a question. Are you somebody special in this game, unlike like the first game, or are you just some random guy they recruited?
Also, unlike the first game, you are extremely special in the first game. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
In this game, okay, so let's talk about the story a little bit, because we have to kind of recap the story of the first game. First game, you're a random, like you wake up, you're a random dude, you have amnesia, your arm says like marked or a stalker on it, and you have a mission to kill S.T.A.L.K.E.R. And throughout the course of the first game, you are uncovering like little bits of information about S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his group and like their past, and you're running into like members of his group who have died, and eventually you discover that like you have amnesia and you are in fact S.T.A.L.K.E.R. You're the person that you are supposed to be killing. And then the game kind of shifts and you have to go take out this like C consciousness that controls the zone. In this game, which is a prequel, it's trying to get you to the point in the first game where your character has amnesia. And so you play as Scar, a mercenary who's being tasked by Clear Sky, who's we'll talk about them as an organization, but they're trying to stop S.T.A.L.K.E.R from getting to the center of the zone again. They see him as a danger.
Again, so that was the part that confused me. Again, I thought this is the first time he arrives there.
This is the S.T.A.L.K.E.R gets to before this game starts. S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his group have just gotten to the middle of the zone, and they're the only group that has, and they are kind of like heroes, legends, and like all around like enemies of Clear Sky, because they know the zone better than anybody. They are like the group that you are like that everyone has heard of. Like everyone knows about S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his group that made it to the center of the zone.
It's almost like, isn't it like kind of like a maze where there's only specific ways you can get in and out of the zone as well?
Yeah, and it changes is the thing. So
yeah,
like the biggest thing about the zone throughout all three games and within the games themselves is that there are these emissions that happen. They don't really happen. There's only one that happens in the first game, but basically in the story, every time an emission occurs, the zone changes slightly, or maybe like massively. Some areas can be cut off and just you can't get access to them at all. Sometimes new areas will open up. Like physics change, so areas that were highly radioactive are suddenly completely clean. Other areas suddenly have all these anomalies, just tearing them up. And S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his group are not the smartest, but they're like the best at figuring out how to navigate the zone. So people say like, oh, they know the way. It's not like they know the way to the zone. It's like they know how to get there. They don't know the path, but they know how to navigate through all the anomalies. They know how to figure out their way, and nobody knows how they did it. They just know that they did it.
Yeah, and then doesn't the doctor guy at Clear Sky Base also question the fact that he thinks there's some sort of like mind to the zone where it is choosing who to let in and who to let out also? Yes.
So Clear Sky is, I think they're just like a fascinating faction that was introduced to this, where they're an independent faction that is like all about science. Essentially, they were initially like part of like a research team, and they started hiring a bunch of like mercenaries, and they became like a legitimate faction in their own right that seeks to study and understand the zone. And so one of the doctors is like I think one of the doctors, I love that the doctors like kind of get it to the point that they're like, okay, S.T.A.L.K.E.R could only have made it to the center of the zone if the zone wanted them to be there. and they understand that it's like a living object that can kind of make decisions on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the 3 leaders of Clear Sky, Lebedev, Suslov, and Kalancha.
Yeah.
And Kalancha's the doctor, who I think everyone calls him, people call him like Egghead, big bald guy.
Yeah,
And they're just, it's a nice little introduction of like, okay, like we have, like, it's kind of to address like the first game is you learning the zone for yourself. And the second game, they're like, okay, immediately you talk to Clear Sky and they understand the zone and they can kind of help you out a little bit. And it's more of it's more of a like, here's for new players who don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, and one of the reoccurring things that happens in the game too is that the zone does change while you're playing. Like all of a sudden the sky will just blot out with light. Yeah. And you'll see that it's doing something as you're playing through the game.
That's one of my favorite additions to the series is they talk about emissions in the first game, but adding emissions in where suddenly it feels like the world can change around you. It's like, haha, you knew what you're doing, asshole. Just kidding. It's everything's different now.
Are those random events when it would say a mission is coming, find shelter? Or is that all part of the game? Just part of the okay.
So in the first game, it ends with like a time limit that shows up at the very end of the first game, and they're like, an emission's coming, a huge emission's coming. You got to get inside, and that's like it's part of the story in the first game. And this one, two emissions happen immediately. And that's how the story starts. And then they can just randomly occur throughout the game at any time. And yeah, it can really like trick you into some rough situations where you'll be like fighting bandits and all of a sudden an emission's about to occur and you and the bandits need to get inside and you have to fight your way to like cover and hold out in there while this emission happens and kills everything outside of it.
That was one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah, it's absolutely like, it's one of the fan favorite aspects of the game at this point. Mm-hmm. And like it was such a big deal that they threw it into Call It Pripyat as well. It can really fuck you though, because like sometimes you'll get in a mission and then 10 minutes later they'll be like, another mission's coming, and you're like, what the fuck?
I only saw maybe 3 throughout my playthrough this time.
It's hard to tell. They're like completely random. So like I've played games where I've only had like 2 throughout the entire time, and then I've played some where it's like, okay, I've hit like 6 emissions before I even got to like the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
There is a joke that we should say, because if we were playing through this game, me and Stefan, we got through like the first half of this game in one day with like no issues, and we had told we're both like, Stu, this game is a lot easier than the first game. He just laughed. He's like, I'm screenshotting this. And I'm like,
screenshot the chat for later.
Bad. And
they were like, it's so easy. Like, we'll burn through this in no time. And I was like, oh man, they haven't even made to Red Forest yet.
When you get to the first zombies, like there's a part where you have to go to a lab, which is from the first game, and he doesn't open the door unless all the zombies are outside of in his area.
Yeah.
And
I almost rage quit. I almost said fuck it. I was so close to saying fuck it on that part.
Did my advice help you?
Yeah, your advice, but I didn't know that the stalkers in the area also did that too. What you do is you get up on the roof and just headshot the zombies. Otherwise, if you go in there, you're just fucked. There was even an emission in there when I was there, so
I was like, there's no way. That happened to me when I was there. Like the first time I got there in one of the games, one of the times I played it, like I'm going to get in, and they're like, "Oh, we can't let you in because there's too many zombies around." And right as he said that, it was like a mission incoming. I was like, "Fuck, let me in! Let me in this goddamn base!"
Like, fuck,
please open the door. I think I tried to like kill all the zombies as quick as I could. And I got it. I was just filled with bullet holes. I was like bleeding out of my eyes. Like, next time someone says open the door, open the fucking door.
That pissed me off how he doesn't open the door.
Yeah, well, they're scientists. They're weak. They're just like,
yeah, but I'll lock the door behind me. Just open the damn door.
It's also like an airlock, so they could at least let you into like the airlock and be like, "Oh, sorry, we're not going to open the inside door."
Quarantine.
Yep. Nope.
That is the hardest part of the game when the zombies start. And the zombies aren't even around that long, but there were a couple really cool missions though.
Yeah, it's funny that like so much is thrown to you as opposed to the first game where like it's a slow ramp up of difficulty where they start introducing different enemies at very key points. This one throws a lot at you pretty quickly. Like you wake up as Scar and they're like, "You survived in a mission. We don't know how." And like that's basically all you know about yourself is like you're some mercenary and you survived a mission, and the guy's like, hey, I'm gonna hire you to do a job, and you're like, well, I like money, so let's do it.
I never have it, but I like it.
I never have it. Yeah, I sure like them rubles. And so he sends you out to like go check on like a tower and some guys, and you get out there and immediately like mutants have killed everybody at the tower and they start attacking you, and then as soon as they start attacking you, they're like, an emission's coming, figure it out, and you're like, oh fuck. And then
I didn't make it. I was in the tower when the emission happened. I just stayed in the tower, and then he just woke up back in the camp. They're like, we don't know how you got here, but you're here.
Yeah, it was funny that you texted me. I was like, isn't that what's supposed to happen? I was so confused by your question. We were like, I woke up back at the base, and I was like, yeah, that's supposed to happen, Mike. I don't know. I don't know what you're asking me.
I didn't know if it was like because I didn't go anywhere because I didn't or something. That's part of the story.
I thought that maybe because this has actually happened to me before. I thought maybe that you were on the ladder when the emission hit and you fell asleep on the ladder and fell and died, because that has absolutely happened to me in that early part before, where I'm like, I fell off a fucking tower and it's like game over. I'm like, oh god, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, well, this was essentially my first time. I mean, I played the first Stalker for like an hour, but this one with the emissions, I didn't know anything about it. So when you do go to that tower and it says emission coming, I thought if I just ran into that little abandoned train right there, that I would be safe. Yeah, I'm like, why am I still dying?
The one like the trailer that's like filled with holes.
Yeah, no
like,
windows.
Yeah, it's such a great way to start this game, because you like if you saw any like images on it, you'd be like, oh, I recognize those areas. I know what I immediately know that I'll survive this world. And they're like, no, we're gonna put you in the swamps, so you're not gonna recognize the area. And we're going to hit you with a mission, which is something you've never seen before. And we're going to introduce you to this group that you've never seen before. And it's like, okay, it's the same map, but this is like a totally different, this feels like a totally different world. This is a totally different zone that I'm in. That just, it's still going to fuck me.
Oh, and another
only
question.
gun you got is that stupid Makarov. It's dog shit.
Yeah,
you can join factions in this game, right? Isn't that like a big part of this game, or the factions?
Yes.
You can do that in
So
the other game too, but this one it seemed much more focused on.
it's much,
faction.
yeah. I kept saying, I always tell people like the first Stalker is, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I love it because it's so raw and just. Like,
I think the pacing is better.
the pacing is better, I think, in the first game as well. I think the first one's also just, it's like really, like I say, raw. Like it's a lot of things thrown in together that work really well. And this game is like, they're trying to refine it. And so like they introduce like the emissions, like they change the world. The AI is a little tweaked, just to make it a little bit cleaner. You can upgrade armor, and generally like everything is tweaked just enough for it to be a little easier on the player.
At first
The
AI is smart. I will say that. Like I like the AI in this game. There were multiple times where they would try to sneak around me, or I would use it to my advantage, where I would shoot at them, get them to come out and towards me, and then take them out as they're moving towards me. Like they are smart though in this game.
They're a little smarter in this game than they are in the first game. Like they plan a little better. And with that faction system that existed in the first game, but it was kind of like outside of your knowledge that it existed. Like you were aware of the factions, but you weren't aware of how they interacted quite so efficiently as you are in this game, where like they give you a list of the factions, they tell you how strong they are, and they give you like a list of objectives on like faction screens. It's like, oh, you're working with Clear. Like the first area is just a tutorial for how the rest of the game is going to go, essentially, where they're like, okay, you're partnered with Clear Sky right now, and bandits are taking over the swamps, and they want to have control of the swamps. So it's like, you need to go take out this guy. Like you need to go kill this bandit leader, and you need to capture this outpost, and you need to help them like ambush this group on the road. And after you do those things, you see like their faction's getting stronger and the bandits are getting weaker. And as their faction gets stronger, they like will reward you with stuff. They'll help you out more. They'll like prices. And then as the factions get, as the bandits get weaker, they start to hate you more, and they'll like straight up just attack you on sight at some point. So it's refined.
I didn't
you
mess
also
with
have
the
much
factions.
better prices. If you notice, if you hover over prices for stuff, if you're not allied with the faction, they'll sell it to you at higher than the list price, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And once you're friends with them, they'll sell it to you at the list price or lower.
Okay, I saw that, and I thought just supply and demand. So I was like, okay, I need this health kit. I'm just gonna buy it. Like that's all my money. You bought
a health kit? Goodbye money.
I bought them all the time.
Oh,
Jesus!
Every one I saw.
This is why you're poor in every video game we play.
Hey, I barely made through the game with enough health kits to finish the game. Like I got it was close.
This is I always make a point. I've done this. I've mentioned this since like our Golden Sun episode. I make a point in every game to try to eliminate one need so that I can just sell whatever I like use for that need. And so this game, like all the STALKER games, it's all about getting the artifacts that like curve bleeding or like heal you or something. Right. So I can just sell a bunch of med kits and make a shitload of money.
Never found, like I said earlier, I never found any artifacts ever in this game.
That's crazy to me because they're everywhere.
What's crazy is all three of us didn't, besides you. That's the crazy part.
That is shocking. Yeah, there's.
I was running
not
all the time because enemies kept coming after me. My armor was always degraded because I got to a certain point in this game where I never repaired it again during the second half of the game after the zombies. It never got repaired. I want to say again. Mm-hmm. So I could not take hits. If you started to shoot me, it was over. I had to run for my life.
This game has just as many artifacts as the first game. Actually, it adds quite a few in. What's funny is that like they tried to do something different with the artifacts in this one, and it just like didn't catch on. And so when the third game came around, they're like, fuck it, like we'll keep like endurance, but for the most part, we'll make it a little like the artifacts in this are the worst for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even bother with them. I think this game took me like 5 hours to complete, maybe 6 if you just go from main mission to main mission.
That's right, because you got to get them like there's one that's like a main story artifact called Compass that you all had to have had at some point because you need it for the story.
Yeah, I had that.
Okay. I hate giving that one away because it's endurance plus 6, and endurance is just stamina. Oh, yeah. And so if you have a shitload of those, it's first of all, Compass is like amazing because it doesn't add any radiation to you, and it's endurance plus 6, so you can just run forever with enough of them.
I remember speccing out. I missed that because in the first game, like you could really build some like really optimal setups with your
Oh yeah, the first game has like the soul artifact, which is like it's way worse than this. It's only like health plus 2. Radiation plus 2, so it's like barely worthwhile. In the first game, Soul is like it gives you like 600% extra health.
Oh yeah, and it was just really really fun to like mix and match and like eliminate certain needs and stuff like you said.
Yeah,
it happened for me.
This game, the best part of these games, hands down, are the side missions and just exploring. Like the main story you have to get through, and it's fun to get through because it advances things and it unlocks better weapons and stuff. Like and the weapon tiers, like it's just you can't ignore them because there's so much unbelievably better each time you jump up to the next tier. Or when you get the VSS, like
it's amazing.
Game changer with the armor penetrating, like done.
And I mean, like just like when you finally get a chance to switch to like not just the tier weapon, but when you realize like oh, there's a different like level of ammo that I'm switching to now. Like when you go from I'm not using the shitty 9mm ammo anymore, I can go to like 5x45, and it just opens up this new world of AKs, and you're like, oh my god, like I can kill things for a little bit, and then immediately everything starts killing you again. It's like, I gotta switch to 5.56 now, I guess.
So I don't know about you guys, but I always base the faction that I join on how I see the AI battling each other, and whoever wins the battle, I'm like, that's the faction I join.
A true mercenary. You really role play Scar.
I didn't do any of that. I was in Clear Sky when they asked me to join Freedom, I think it was. Because Freedom's the one with the base, right?
Well, yes.
He has a base though.
Freedom has they have a big base outside of the Dark Valley. They've got their like big they've got their base, and Duty's kind of
Duty is like, you'll be miserable, but you'll join us.
Yeah. We talked about this in the first episode, but to go over the factions real quick, there's a nice mix of them. So you have like Clear Sky, which is the first group you meet, and they're obviously the game is named after them. They're like the important one in this story, and they don't really show up in the first game, which takes place after this, and they don't really show up in Call of Pripyat all that much, which tells you exactly how this game ends. But you have like the bandits who, obviously they're just bandits. They're just trying to steal shit. And you have the military, and then the loners who are like unaffiliated, and you have Duty and Freedom who are like the big two stalker factions that are always at war. Freedom wants They want like anarchy and pure freedom. They want people to be able to do whatever they want in the zone, and they'd like the zone to increase so that the whole world can be like anarchist and just everyone can do whatever the fuck they want. And then duty is the exact opposite. They're like, we're trying to control the zone and if possible constrict it and bring order back to this world. Duty is more often affiliated with the military. Freedom is more often affiliated with the free stalkers. And then you have like the ecologists who are also like some of the scientists that just are they just study the zone. They don't care about anything that's happening. You have the mercenaries like S.T.A.L.K.E.R who are just, they're just mercenaries. They don't have any affiliation unless you pay them.
Yeah, what you'd say it's very let's see, like one's trying to be a government, the other one's trying to be anarchy, and like the third one just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, the third one's like they're like, we wash our hands of this. We don't care what you do. We're just here to observe. And then like this one adds Clear Sky, and their biggest like they have a nice battle with Monolith. Monolith is their greatest like adversary. And
Monoliths are from the first game, right?
Yeah, they're the stalkers who have been like kind of mind controlled by the zone and a wish granter, and so they are protecting Pripyat. Like they're mind controlled, and they're there as like in the first episode we talk about them like they're ants or bees, like they're a hive mind, and that's kind of what they are. They're just mind controlled and like bodies being used by the zone to protect the vital areas.
They're only in a small part of this game too. They're not. You fight the military. I actually like fighting the military because they always gave me health kits. They gave me more ammo for the guns that I like, and they die decently quick.
Yeah, it's nice. That's like the big trade-off when you start fighting the military in Monolith is they're so much harder to kill, but they are so much better equipped. It's like if I kill that guy, it's going to take forever, but he has a sniper rifle that's really good.
I have a couple of things I want to mention. One, like we talked a little bit about earlier about the zombies, but there's a part after that I talked to that scientist. He gave me a quest I didn't go get that compass you were mentioning or get something, and the dogs just would not stop spawning. I don't know if they're just endless or I just impatient, but I tried to fight the dogs, said fuck it, ran in there, grabbed the item, ran out, kept hitting the health kit button as fast as I could, and got out of there until they stopped chasing me. Is that how you're supposed to do it?
So, no, but kind of. No, but it works, so yeah.
I also didn't realize there was a key to do health kit automatically until way later than I should have. I used to have to open inventory, hit the I button, open the inventory, double click on it, close the inventory, and then keep shooting.
That works, but it's not efficient. Oh,
not when you have no armor and you die in 2 hits. No.
Yeah. It's
that and
better.
The other thing they don't tell you about that I always forget about when playing these games, the little blue metal crates, you can melee them, they open up and they drop items. I always forget that.
Didn't know that.
No, Stu, you could have told us that while we were talking to you.
I assumed you remembered from the first game, Mike.
You assumed I did break a couple, but I didn't find anything.
Assumed incorrectly.
This is making me feel weird. This is like when Mike didn't know you could break the barrels in Resident Evil 4. Like I kind of feel like that now.
I played through half that game before I figured out you could break barrels back in the day when I first played it.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's not the most intuitive. It's like the nicest thing you could say about S.T.A.L.K.E.R.
It's not meant to be.
No, it's not.
Like it's meant to be confusing. Like they give you a PDA which gives you a map, and the map will show roads. And if you go off the road, there are a lot of times you're gonna end up in random barriers. You're gonna end up radiated to death. You have to stay on the roads a lot of the time. Yeah. And this map is huge. Like we can't. I mean, and also there's so many. I don't think we really have done it justice yet to mention, but there are lots of random things that are happening in this game all the time. So all 4 of us probably had different things happen just because. Like I know when we just shot Chernobyl, he had mentioned that enemies will pick up random ammo and take it with them, or just random NPCs.
Yeah, if you could leave like a full gun on the ground, sometimes you'll come back and it'll be like, why is that bandit using a VSS? Oh yeah, I dropped it.
Yeah, but there's cool subtle moments in here, like when it's pitch black outside and you're just wandering through the forest and all you hear is like dogs barking far off. You got your flashlight on, then you run into like a group of stalkers around a bonfire playing guitar. I mean, there's just cool subtle moments that they kind of leave for you to find in there,
It's a different way, and in my opinion, a better way to do what like Fallout 3 tried to do, where they introduced Fallout 3, for people who don't know, is like it introduced like cells. So when you go to a certain like area of the map, you'll be in a big square that's a cell, and when you load that cell, a random event can happen. And this game is like the exact opposite, where they're like, you're always in this cell, like everything is the cell, everything is the zone, and just people are just existing in it and doing what they want, and occasionally they'll fight, and occasionally you'll come across them fighting, and it's like feels completely random. Like
those stalkers, like when they were sitting there around the bonfire, eventually, because I hung around, they get up and they went on a mission and just started killing somebody not that far over the hill. I mean, it's stuff is going on. Yeah, if you like hang out in the Great Swamps for a while, you can notice that like bandits are like trying to take back outposts that you captured, and you can like even intercept like a big patrol of bandits that are like on their way to take back an outpost and take them out, and Clear Sky will call you and be like, "Hey, we heard what you did. Thanks for that. Yeah, come get some ammo. Yeah, check your stash.
Called me.
Come get a couple mediocre rewards."
Yeah, pretty much.
We heard you killed 30 bandits for us. Here's a band-aid.
Cheeky breaky.
God, I mean, you fight so many people in this game too. I mean, there were parts like whenever I ran across mutants when I could, like if it said the arrow was pointing to a different area and like especially a loading screen, I just fucking booked it and just said fuck it and just ignored everybody.
That's a fair way to play the game. I mean, I like to fight everything because I'm an insane sadomasochist.
The only way to do it, in my opinion.
I like to constantly be, anxious and feel like I'm losing. But yeah, like you can absolutely choose to like if you want, you can choose to not fight a lot of things. You can get to the end of the game by killing,
especially fighting mutants for a problem because they don't give me anything. I'm going to waste ammo. I'm going to waste health kits. I'm not going to get anything for my trouble other than like there's one mission I was running through the Red Forest in this game, and they're like, okay, follow these stalkers and protect them or whoever the hell they were. And they come to a clearing and some giant mutant just massacred them. I guess it's called the Flesh. It looks like a giant pig.
They were killed by Flesh?
Yeah, they all got killed by Flesh.
Okay,
and I ran.
What's funny about that is, Flesh sounds like a really, really bad mutant. Realistically, they're like a lower level mutant. I'm surprised that they all got killed by it.
Could have been something different, but it was a big, real fat looking mutant that ran around and took them all out.
Okay, so here's something interesting that happened to Mike that he doesn't realize. This was in the Red Forest, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that there's about a 99% chance that Flesh didn't kill them. They got killed by a Psydog that you never saw. And you saw the Flesh and you assumed he killed it.
Well, no, I saw him beating on him, and I even killed him, but it took forever to die. Then I just ran.
Incredibly surprising because Flesh are usually pretty weak.
Okay, it had to have been something else then. It was something that they were shooting at it, I was shooting at it, and it just did not die.
Red Forest is filled with like Psydogs, and I think there's a couple Chimera there, so Chimera could have done it too. But the Psydogs can go invisible. Actually, there's a lot of Bloodsuckers in the Red Forest too. So they probably got killed by something else, and you saw a pig, and you were like, "Fuck that pig!"
I fought the pig. Like they died, and I fought it for a little bit, and just because I wanted to loot their bodies, and it was still going, and nothing else came up to kill me. I mean, I did see Bloodsuckers when I was running around in there, so I know what you're talking about.
I wanted to love this game, Stu, but like the Bloodsucker experience that I had in the first game that I'm sure we talked about. It's just nothing beats it. And the Bloodsuckers took a back seat in this game for me, at least.
Yeah, they're not in this game a lot.
I don't know what these are.
So Bloodsuckers look like a humanoid with tendrils coming out where their beard would be, and they can go invisible when they get close.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing a single one.
You might have not. I ran into a couple in the woods when I was running for my life, and I skipped them and reloaded and ran for my life. And I ran into them a couple times when I went into a random house that tried to kill me one time. But other than that, these are places you could have avoided because when I was in the house, I was searching for supplies, and I said, "Fuck it," reloaded, just ran through the village, and I didn't see them again.
Yeah, there's they're not as active as they are in the other two games. I think they took a backseat in this one because they wanted to like highlight some of the other dangerous mutants because the Bloodsuckers kind of became the like face of the mutants in the first game, and they were like, let's focus on like the Psydogs and the Snorks and the Pseudo Giants, which are fucking awful to fight. Also, I apologize. Chimeras were not in this game. Chimeras are in Call of Pripyat, and I cannot wait for you to hate me when you have to fight them in Call of Pripyat. But you get like
your name was cursed during this playthrough a lot.
The Pseudo Giants are like real nightmares because they're like huge guys that have I don't even know what they mutated from, I think the theory is that they're humanoid because it's like a big face and they have like hands coming out of like where their ears should be, and it looks like just a big massive muscle with giant legs, and they just come and like beat the shit out of you.
What was the one that you have to fight in the tunnel that kind of like shoots something at you that's like psi energy or something?
The controllers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they will also
suck.
fuck you up. Those things are a nightmare to fight. And they're probably one of the more like unnerving enemies in the game because they have claws, but they don't attack you with melee really.
Pull attack.
Yeah, they attack your mind.
In the first game, I thought that they were unkillable because I dumped like 4 mags right into him. And in this game, I learned my lesson and I ran straight up to him. And I shit you not, I dumped a full magazine. It took like 2.5 magazines straight into his chest, point blank, to take him out. I was so mad.
They're actually a little easier to kill in.
They were. They were easier to kill in this one.
Yeah, they in the first game they have like mental strength, which they can just sap your mental strength and you can just fall over dead. This game removes mental strength, and so they just have like psi powers. So they just really disorient you and like hurt your health. But it's a little easier to deal with.
I like how the game didn't even like it just one of those things where it doesn't introduce like that this thing's there. You just go into this big room where you have to release the water pressure and it's just standing there. It doesn't let you know. The camera doesn't move or anything. It's just there.
Yeah, it's
as a boss.
It's not like a normal video game would say like okay, here's your mission. You need to go here and you need to like activate the water pump. And then while you're talking, they'd be like, we like 9 out of 10 times games will be like, oh, we sent like a team before you, but they never came back. And then some other guy will be like, I heard there's a rumor that a controller is there. And S.T.A.L.K.E.R does not do that. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is like, hey, go hit that button. And then while you're there, you're like, why the fuck is everyone dead?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's why.
You just see it coming towards you. It's creepy.
Yeah. It's everything in this game is just like meant to build atmosphere and unnerve you and like make you feel on edge constantly. And I think that's why I love all 3 because they're so effective at that. But this game, because this game is more refined. I kept telling Stefan and Mike in the chat, it's a different kind of difficulty where like you don't feel as out of control constantly, but when you do, I think it hits you much harder in this game because it's like suddenly you're in an area where you don't understand again. You're like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen now?
I didn't have as much fun with this game as I did as the first one. I felt
that's surprising to me.
The first half I was having fun. Okay, there's also a couple things I had a funny thing happen to me. So there's one part where you have to run in a forest and you have to go to this anomaly on top of a tank. And I'm running, as I've been doing all this time, I'm avoiding enemies, I'm running. And I get to the tank, I see this thing, so I go, okay, and I went there, nothing happened. So I'm sitting there shooting dogs, thinking I have to protect myself. And then I'm like, what? And I die because they just more things just keep coming at me. And I finally realize, jump in the fucking circle, you idiot. And you teleport, done.
I love that you messaged me about that and you're like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, I was like, send me a picture. You sent me a picture of the anomaly. I was like, go into the anomaly. I know. It's one of the weird things of this game where, and part of the reason Mike didn't do this is because he didn't listen to the guy right beforehand, tell him about those anomalies.
I didn't listen to any guy. I didn't listen
right before
to anything.
You go there, the guy teaches you about those anomalies and tells you like they're not going to kill you. Jump in. But it was so funny to be like, all right, Mike, I know everything I've ever told you about this game is that it's going to kill you, but this is the one thing that's not going to kill you.
Another thing that like there was a couple really awesome moments that will definitely stick with me for a while. There's one part where I had a bunch of my Clear Sky or whoever the hell they were with me, and we're on the other side of this river. And you have a construction site or something on the other hand, full of bandits. And I got to take a sniper rifle that I luckily either had or took from somebody. I don't know where it came from. But I was sitting there just gunning down these guys, one after another, with other people helping me. And it was just a very epic shootout near the end of the game. Like, it was great.
Yeah, this game has...
There's some really good parts.
The first game is very, like, open-ended and not... Like, there is a story, but it's very non-linear. And Sam and I have talked at length about how much we love like the bad endings of that game, quote unquote. They're just like they're essentially like they're all like fuck you endings. They're all like endings to like a Twilight Zone episode where it's like you think you did it but you didn't.
I think I remember liking the money one.
Oh, the money where like you get buried what you
funny.
think is falling money and then it like flashes back to reality and you've been crushed by like falling metal.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's great. It's like in some ways, I prefer those endings to the actual ending of the game because they're just like so like after spending 20 hours just like burning your way there, like having to fucking scavenge and scramble to survive. You get to this ending and the game is just like, no, that's not what we're about. Fuck you.
It's like Twisted Metal endings. Something. Yeah. It's just
like,
you got your wish.
Good day. Yeah. But then you get to like the second game and it's not open-ended. There is a definite story that you're supposed to be doing. And so you get more of those exciting moments, but as much as I like them, I never really connected to them as much as like the random moments that happen in the other games. Where it's like, this is cool, but it's not as cool as like happening to come across a group of Clear Sky fighting Monolith and jumping into the fight to help them. This is like, this is the part of the game where this is supposed to happen. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And it's like, I'm fighting a lot of stuff, but I like the randomness of it.
What are you talking about jumping in? That would just be run the other way.
Well, some of us jump in because we like to empty out all the weapons.
The things you run into in between missions, the side missions, are so much more enjoyable because it's just like it's you out in the wilderness exploring the unbeaten path and just like finding out what's going on, and that to me was a lot more exciting.
Once you get to like that, it's kind of like the halfway point of the game is like when you get to Red Forest and it becomes very linear and okay, like this is like do this and then do this and do this and do this and then it's the end of the game. And I don't
say that quickly.
It's not that quick. Well, it's like the halfway point. There's still a shitload to do, but
yeah, I mean, I felt the second half.
You know what you're doing.
The second half of the game is much longer and more guns blazing, less running. I did a lot of running in the first part, and I did less running later on because I didn't have a choice. Because if I ran, they just killed me instantly.
Yeah, I think the first game and the third game, Call It Pripyat, which we will play eventually because that's my favorite of the series. I think like those two games do something phenomenal where once you get to the power plant at the end, it feels like you're in a completely new and interesting area. And it's like, all right, like it like you have to fight your way to get there. And then once you get there, you're like, okay, this is just more that I have to explore. This is just like, this is still dangerous, but it's another part of this world. And this game, once you get to Pripyat, it's like, all right, you don't really have time to explore. Just get to go stop Straylock.
Yeah, kill everything.
Yeah.
There's another memory that I had when I was playing this game that I want to mention is also there was a part where it's part of the game where the storyline mission where they after you do that stupid lab with the zombies, the last part you got to deal with fucking zombies, and they send you to jump over this wall with a team of stalkers, and they're just gunning down zombies. They're trying to hit a couple switch, and you have to defend them. And I didn't really do much. I just kind of watched and shot a few people, and then it was near the end where they say, okay, go here. I realized everybody was dead but me because I wasn't really protecting them. I'm like, oh shit. I fucking booked it. I got out of there and I just booked it past because the zombies in this game are terrible to kill. They take so many shots, even headshots. Like I would hit them in the head. They take more than one. Like they're the worst to fight. Mostly enemies in this game we haven't mentioned yet. If you shoot a human, he staggers when you shoot him. You can hit him, he'll stagger, and you can keep gunning him down. A zombie, they go, that's nice. And they just point the gun at you and kill you instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how they don't really aim at you. They just point their gun in your general direction and just fire nonstop. It's like they just know that that's what they're supposed to do.
They're the worst.
I never really have that much trouble with them until they start swarming me. Which at that point of the game they do swarm you and they're just everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think this is one of the more terrifying zombie encounters where it's just you just know there's so many of them and they're around every single corner, and it's just like, oh god, that one's on the ground and he's freaking out and I need to kill him before he gets back up, but there's 3 more zombies over there shooting at me. And you really gotta you really gotta plan on the spot, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's my strategy.
Another thing about this game, if you save and then reload, things can be different. I had things where I would save, run into a zombie fight, get murdered, reload, run into the fight the same way, and sometimes he'd be like, that's nice, you can shoot me, I'll just stand here and look the other direction. The AI would just be different. And I noticed that throughout this game where I would load and I would do something and things would be just a little bit different, but enough to help me get by.
I like that. By the way, I think we mentioned this in the first episode too, but we're all describing how hard this game is. We all played on easy. This is
I played on what's the second level or whatever.
Oh, you played on it's novice. It's Stalker. Yeah, it's novice, Stalker, and then 2 others, which I've never even I've played these games so many times, and I believe they're so difficult. I have never played anything harder than like the Stalker difficulty.
We also should mention that this game has a weight limit. So as you carry items, if you're over encumbered, you can't move. Like you literally, I had times where I would accidentally pick up guns when I'm trying to loot a body, and all of a sudden I can't move, and I'm being shot down. I'm like, well, this is the end of this.
That's pretty much how I got through the game. Like because as we were saying earlier, you have to join a faction to get lower prices. I didn't do any of that, so I had to pay for it like wholesale.
Same.
And I would just grab as many guns as I could and then slowly tiptoe to the camp near me and sell all of it.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Dude,
And I'd get some med kits, you know.
There was a thing you could do in Fallout 3 that you can kind of do in this as well. That it was such a cheap way of going about it, where if you wanted to in Fallout 3, you could like I would take every weapon back to Rivet City to sell because I needed caps, because I had to have the caps for no reason. And so I would put all the weapons I wasn't using in like a dead body, and I would drag it from one end of the Capital Wasteland to Rivet City and like pull them out. And you can kind of drag bodies in Clear Sky. So I'll be like, all right, this is my AK body. I'm going to drag this to the edge of the swamp.
I didn't know you could do that.
We'll make like 30 trips back to sell 59 AKs to Nimble out in the forest.
I never sold that much. Like I would sell some things, but most of this game I would just drop guns and run. I wasn't interested in going back and forth and selling stuff. That's why I
got frustrated because of how many times I got robbed, and it was like, if you have money, spend it immediately because you can't hold on to it.
Yeah, you texted me.
I only got robbed once. That was a storyline part. Well, because I went the wrong way.
Sam got robbed multiple times because he messaged me at some point. It was like, man, this game hates you having money.
Yep. Oh, I was fucking miserable. I was so frustrated. I was like, I was so ready to afford like the second level of armor, and I could never buy it. I never was able to buy it. I was so mad.
What's funny is
I love how we all had different experiences.
Oh yeah.
What's great is because I've played the game so much, I know if you get robbed by the bandits, like they won't hate you, and you can actually work with them later if you want to, which you shouldn't do because the bandits suck. But I know for a fact that the bandits will rob you at the end of the tunnel, so I always shoot them before they talk to me, and they're like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, I know what you're doing, I know what your plan is. You can't make me sympathize with you.
I played this game before.
Don't sit there and act like you're the good guy. I know what your plan is.
So Stu, how much weight did you allow your character to have at any one time?
I multiple times, you're allowed to carry 50 kilograms, and if you hit 60 kilograms, you're over encumbered and you can't move. So I can promise you that for a good portion of this game, just like a good portion of all three games, I travel with 59.9 kilograms in my inventory.
Oh my god!
Because I know if I pick up like one more bullet, it won't work. So I will have like 30 kilograms of ammo to sell when I get to the next area. because the most efficient way to play this game, as we mentioned in the first episode, is to pick up every gun, unload it, and then drop the gun and carry the ammo.
I did that.
It's the best way to do it.
I didn't do that back in the day, but since you told me to do that, I was constantly grabbing guns and unloading them.
Back in the day of 2019. Yeah, it's.
But I should have said it a year ago.
Back in the old days when.
It really was different a year ago. Things are kind of crazy now.
Back 100 years ago when we played Stalker 1.
Yeah.
It feels like that. The world's a little different in May of 2020. It's not as nice.
I think England was still part of the European Union when we first played.
You're reading about the
it's
Boston
a different world
Tea
we
Party yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, and I also learned something new. I also learned that if Fallout ever happened, nobody would stay in the vaults. There'd just be no people left.
Yeah, everyone would want to be. It actually is a vault in Fallout. I saw that post, and there is a vault in Fallout where everyone like immediately started losing their minds, and they all like demanded they go outside, and everyone in that vault died. So maybe there's a lesson there.
Lesson to be learned.
I can't remember which vault it is, but I think it was in Fallout 3. There was a vault where they were like yeah, immediately everyone just started freaking out. They demanded they be let out, and so we let them out, and they all turned into ghouls.
They thought they were being oppressed.
Yeah. You can't keep us locked in here. Okay, you can leave. Wow, what? I just wanted to say it. I mean, you called my bluff.
So another thing there's one part you run through a tunnel in this game. I know me and Stefan did it, and that was when you have to fight a bunch of snorts.
I like how everyone calls it the tunnel. Like I think I don't know the name. I think the name of it is I think it's Agripom Underground, but it's just like that. Everyone's like the tunnel.
Well, the only tunnel the game makes you go through that's underground, where you have fire shooting at you constantly, and you have to like walk carefully through fire. Like you don't have that happen anywhere else.
Did anyone remember? I was very curious about this because I know we mentioned it in the first episode, and everyone had the like oh moment. Like I didn't know that was what that was for. Did anyone remember to use their bolts?
What?
I did a little bit. I don't think they're useful at all. I think they're a waste of time.
What are we talking about?
You're throwing the bolts to detect
your
anomalies.
Sixth weapon slot is a bag of bolts that you can use to throw, and it will show you where anomalies are.
Oh, I never even
complete waste of time.
Used it. No.
Yeah, it's literally the exact same thing happened in the first episode where we were like, "What about the bolts?" And Mike was like, "What?" I was listening to it on the way up, and we mentioned the bag of bullets. You throw them, and it shows you like where the anomalies are, and they become kind of useless once you get a detector. Which, to be fair, at this point in the game, you don't have a detector, but you don't have a good one at least.
There's detectors.
Need it. Yeah.
There's detectors that they become super useful in Call of Pripyat because they show you where anomalies are, and you can get one later that shows you where artifacts are too. By the way,
That'd have been nice.
The artifacts in this game might be the reason you guys had such a hard time finding it, is because the artifacts don't show up on the ground until you get close to them, and then they appear.
That would be why.
I never got close to stuff that wasn't on the road.
Well, there you go. That's why you didn't have any artifacts.
I ran, like I said. All I did was run, because and you can. I found out you completely play this game just running all the damn time.
Oh, there's a artifact called a snowflake that's like. It comes out of electro anomalies, and it's like endurance +6, radiation +3, and so you get like crazy good stamina. And so every time a mission happens, I go to every single electro anomaly and I look for those fucking snowflakes, and I try to find those goddamn bubbles as well. The bubbles are the artifacts that are like -6 radiation, so you can have one bubble and two snowflakes, and you can have 12 endurance and no radiation side effects. And it's just super useful.
That was another thing with this game, like the radiation. It can get really bad if you're stupid and go in a wrong spot that you're not supposed to go. And it would mess you up, because it doesn't look like it doesn't go away unless you use an item. Like it just stays with you.
It can get really bad if you're not stupid, and you can just be like, you can just accidentally wander into the wrong area.
Yeah, I mean, I pay attention to my little radio what is it called? Measures radiation.
A Geiger counter?
Yeah, Geiger counter. That's the word.
Radiometer, as you were about to say.
I don't know what I was going to say, but I pay attention to the one in the bottom right corner to keep track of things. I also didn't use grenades in this game. I remember in Shadow, I used grenades all the fucking time. This time, I did not use them much.
Really? There is no game that is more rewarding for a like perfect grenade throw than this game. With how punishing the enemies are, you get the grenade right in the right spot, clear out a room. Oh, it's perfect.
I didn't use it this game. I sold them instead.
That's why I love that SGI like G3 so much, is because you can put a grenade launcher and a sight on it.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, this is like the perfect weapon now.
Mm-hmm.
Just blast a rifle grenade down a hallway, and you're like, all right, that's clear.
I like how these games also seem to always introduce a like god weapon in like the last 10 minutes of the game. Like you have like FS 2000 or whatever.
Yeah.
2000 in the last like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the game. That's like unbelievably good.
It's an FN 2000 in real life. They call it like the FD 200M.
Yeah, and you get an SVD really late in the game too. It's like, you know, your first real sniper rifle.
Yeah, it's just like they all three of them do that. You're right. Where they're just like, all right, like you've struggled enough. Here's a gun that kills everything. You're still gonna die, but you're
because there's like in the first game, like you get all these god weapons, and there are these fucking helicopters doing strafing runs on you.
Yeah,
you didn't quite have. You still have to blow up a helicopter in this game, but like you kind of piece it.
It wasn't. I hid for a while and didn't know what to do until I read the guy said, shoot the helicopter. I'm like, oh, I just was avoiding it. I wasn't going to shoot a helicopter in this game. I mean, this is not the kind of game.
In the first game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can.
It takes a lot, but you can.
I skipped them then probably in the first game, but it's been a year. I don't remember.
The third game also introduces the Gauss rifle, which is a fucking Gauss rifle.
Well, it had in this game too.
Yeah, it's in all three. I think it was you can't get them in the first game. And I think they show up in Clear Sky, but I don't think you can get it. You can use it in Clear Sky either. You can find like data on it. But yeah, the first one, the one in the first game, like it breaks and it's like, oh shit, I guess that's done.
Yeah, and another another thing to say about this game is creepy, but not as creepy as Shadow of Chernobyl was. Like Shadow of Chernobyl has you go in places. This game is mostly you running outside. You don't go in a lot of buildings or any.
Yeah. It's
mostly just you running around this giant world map trying to survive and talk to people and complete different objectives.
There were some it's definitely a detriment to the game. There are some cut areas that like you were supposed to go to where you'd be inside a lot more. Sam and I have talked a lot about like the Metro series, how the third game, Exodus, you're not underground as much, and it's kind of a detriment to the game's atmosphere.
Yeah.
This game has the same problem where you're outside more often, and it's like it's more freeing and it feels better, but you're not playing these games to feel good. You're playing these games to feel like claustrophobic and trapped and like just being buried under this pressure of this world. And when you're like walking through a beautiful forest, you're like, I mean, I'm still in danger, but like the leaves are nice.
My whole 10 hours with this game, that's a very easy way to put it. Like it took me, I just realized I looked at Steam, it took me 10 hours to beat it, but they were not a fun 10 hours. Like I enjoyed myself, but I was on it. You're on edge. I was on edge.
Yeah. It's funny because comparing it's like, oh, like it's not as bad as the first game. Like it's still a fucking nightmare. It's still like constantly it's just battling constant anxiety. It's like it's the most intense parts of like Resident Evil where you're like, I don't have any ammo and I'm about to die and I have to fight all these zombies. It's that exact feeling for the entire game. So it's funny to be like, this one's not as bad as the first one or the third one. It's like, yeah, it's still a nightmare, but it's like you're not about to have a heart attack.
Well, one of the things I read, like on Steam reviews and everything, is they say it's not as good as Shadows of Chernobyl or Pripyat.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's true because I haven't played both of those yet. So
it's Did you not play the first one?
I played an hour and a half, like almost 2 hours of that one. And then
we'll do a redo of the first one just so you have to play it again.
Yeah, we need better audio on that one anyway.
Yeah. We'll redo. I kind of do want to at some point like redo like the first 30 episodes.
Oh my god!
We're not doing that.
God.
Maybe not all 30, but I would like to pick some of the first ones and be like, hey, let's redo this with better audio. Let's like talk about it again.
Metroid.
It's good thing they remade Resident Evil 2 so we can do that again.
There you go. Hey, that's a good idea.
We'll just do like, we're doing like a different version of Super Metroid this time.
We could honestly. That's the only one that really needs to be redone because that one's bad.
Maybe let's take like a month and we each pick 2 episodes from the original like 30 that we have to redo.
Someday, not anytime soon.
It'll be like a whole month of us just like the redo month where we just address the old episodes that sound like shit.
That's fine.
You can actually hear me.
We'll call them like the remasters.
Remaster. God.
Games my mom found remastered.
Although it could be fun to download like a texture update pack for like S.T.A.L.K.E.R because I've seen some really cool stuff where they like do HD mod packs.
There are some absolutely beautiful mod packs out there, which again, we not to say this a million times, but we talked about in the first episode where there's just the community around these games is still so dedicated to them. That there's genuine love for these worlds, and the mods that I've seen come out of like just texture updates. It's like it looks like a completely different game, and it's just the feeling of it is like some of them are like really, really well done, and just oh my god, I can't believe that they captured the essence of this game so perfectly.
There's a YouTube channel that's like the rise and fall of blah blah blah, and one of them is S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and I think at the end of the video he says like S.T.A.L.K.E.R never died. It's still alive because of the modders and the group and the community. Oh,
absolutely. It's always, I love talking about it because it's like there's the 3 S.T.A.L.K.E.R games, and then you can immediately talk about like the 3 Metro games, and it's a very clear line. It's hard to do this with some developers, but it's a very clear line of like, here's how they got better over the years. Like, here's exactly what they learned in between games. Like, you can kind of do that with like BioWare from like 2000 to like 12 to a certain point.
Yeah, I think one of the things the video mentions too is that like one of the things they address, like they put out like, oh, we're making extra content for S.T.A.L.K.E.R before they released the first one. But apparently they realized that system they had in place didn't work, where things just kept going. And they're like, well, it will finish the game without the player, so we can't have that. So we need to like address it somehow.
Yeah, they there was a point where they were like there was a build at some point where they were like, oh, Clear Sky finished the game while you're still like sitting in the garbage, and they're like, fuck. So they had to play it. That's why I said they had to like tweak the AI a little bit, where it's still the same world, but it's built a little bit better and it's hidden a little bit better, where you're like, some stuff will definitely happen the same way, but it has to be like that. Otherwise, the game could feasibly end without you.
Right. That's insane that they did that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
like-
kind of cool.
That's how deep the AI in the world is. Is that I like that? Imagine any other game like imagine playing like Fallout 3, and you're halfway through Fallout 3 and you're like exploring the Capital Wasteland, and you get an update that's like main quest completed. Like, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, some guy wandered into Raven Rock and killed President Eden. It's like, but
Roll credits.
I'm repairing a fucking pipe rifle, and they're like, it happens. You're playing Fallout 4, and it's like, objective complete, found Sean, and you're like, what?
You get like a trophy that just says too slow.
Yeah, I
mean,
just made it to Diamond City.
That's another thing about this game that's so impressive is the whole fact that things can go to complete, like, there's a part where you're supposed to protect these scientists. You're supposed to protect different people throughout the game. I never did that. They just died, and I just kept going. And the game...
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh, well.
It's hard. I hate the protect missions because the AI can be so deadly. So deadly.
I love this is one of my favorite things about doing this podcast is how different Mike and I are at approaching games, where I get so connected to characters, and Mike is like, if they die, they die.
Well,
I love like on a whim, if I find a random group like in the swamps, it was so fun to walk with the teams and like, you know, kind of protect them, kind of not. When it's a you fail if this person dies, that's anxiety I don't need.
Yeah. I'll
This
find
is
groups
not
and I'll be
my
like,
type of game. If it
No,
wasn't
it's
for this
definitely
podcast, I would never play this game.
That does not
Never in
surprise
my
me.
life.
I love that like the first like PC game series you're probably gonna complete is Stalker.
That's amazing.
Actually, I mean, like, I don't think I said this on the show, or I might have a year ago. The first ever first-person shooter PC game I ever played, like, anytime recently, was Stalker. Like, I had never really played PC games,
I think you
and he dropped
mentioned
me with
that.
Stalker.
I think you mentioned that last week, Mike.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I played on a shitty laptop, too, at the time. Well,
Yeah,
so
you did mention it on the first episode, and I don't even know if we mentioned that. Like, I don't know if we even talked to you about the fact that you can like lean in these games.
Oh yeah,
I
use
thought I
it
never
religiously.
Oh, lean is just the best. It's like
Hands
it
down.
saves your life.
Mike,
like
did you know
your-
about the lean button?
I knew about it. I found it when I was playing with the controls, way before I found there was a flashlight. So I had to, I had to
yeah.
use the controls.
Talking to Mike about anything in the game is like, it's either like, oh, just press this button to kill all the enemies, and he'd be like, what? Or it'll be like, press this button to kill all the enemies, and Mike will be like, I knew about it, but I didn't do it.
I didn't
Why?
use I cover. I mean, that's another thing about this game. Covering, you have to cover. If you're out in the open, it's fun.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You really need to like.
And I think that's really does something for this game too. That the fact that you can really hide and play so well like that, where you're ducking in and out of cover, and the game's completely okay with that, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go behind something, come out, shoot, run, and hide behind it again. I didn't lean. I just
Well, that's why the zombies were such pieces of shit, because they would just like keep coming at you whether you were in cover or not. They didn't
and
care.
there is no cover.
Yeah, I hated it.
And a lot of them have, you know, vision through bushes and stuff, and so you're just like, I can't see them, but they have locked onto my head.
I think
You're screwed.
this is one of the few games where like just being aware of what's around you is so vital. Like you could say like Arma as an example, and being aware of like where everybody is in Arma is also good, but it's all human players in Arma, so it's like impossible to keep track of. In this game, it's like I need to know where everybody is in a room so I know where to hide, and I need to know where they're coming at me from. It's just if I can pop out and kill one, then I'm at least a little safer. There's so much pressure in every single engagement, and it's so stressful, but I love it. I don't know why. I always say, like I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, where I've been talking to a couple people about this. Like they're like, oh, play like Animal Crossing. Like I love Animal Crossing. I'm playing the shit out of New Horizons. And they're like, oh, it's such a great way to kill stress. When I play Animal Crossing, I'm like, I need to get bells. I need to do this. It's not like killing my stress. Stalker kills my stress because I'm like, I know how to survive. Even if I can't, I understand how.
I can tell you exactly why that is. F5. If F5 did not exist,
Yeah.
like it would be a literal nightmare.
Yeah, if you
What
couldn't
is
say
F5?
Quick save.
Quick save.
Did you did you not quick save in this game either?
Oh, you mean quick save where you hit escape, go save game, and then yeah, I knew about that. Does that count? I'm not kidding. I didn't use it. I didn't know about it.
You didn't use it in the first game either, and I was hoping you'd remember that, but you didn't.
It's been a year, man. I won't remember if you make it another year before we play Call of Pripyat. I won't remember in a year either.
To be fair to you, Mike, most PC games do have a quick save F5 button or something, and you probably just, since you haven't really played them, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not used to PC games.
Yeah, you the trick to this game is F5 after every single thing you do. It's
everything. Yeah. We have to be careful because you can fuck yourself with it.
Oh yeah, I've absolutely been in situations where I've saved the game and then gotten blown up by a grenade as soon as I fit, like right as I saved, a grenade's gone off, and I'm like, well, that's that save done.
Yep.
That's a dead file.
I want to say that like I used quick save the most when I actually got to the zone at the end.
Oh yeah.
Where you have to just take down massive waves of guys in the city, and then
So as you kill a guy, you run to a pillar and you save, and you kill another guy and you run to a bush and you save. Like
basically.
No, it's a military base in the beginning.
Yeah.
There was a lot of saving. There was a lot of me playing this game, and saying that I told Stefan, this is the kind of game you kill somebody, you save, like nothing. Mm-hmm. There's no question. That's how you play this game.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's stressful. It's a lot.
Should be a slogan on a ST.A.L.K.E.R shirt. You kill somebody, you save.
Kill a guy, save. Drink a vodka, save. Take a shot every time you save, but it would kill you.
Oh my god.
It would just kill you immediately. You take like a sip, like a tiny little sip. It would still kill you.
I wonder if I don't know how good Stu is at this game, but I'd be curious if he live streamed it. If we took a shot every time he died. That would be interesting because he's pretty good about quick saving.
Yeah, but the problem is every quick save, like every third quick save, is a death. Like,
that's true.
Oh man, that would be rough. I'll do it, but that'll be rough. Yeah, I'll put my body on the line.
This game. Once you learn it, following the upgrade path of the guns and killing enemies and clearing stuff, it is almost like therapeutic.
Yeah, it's the most rewarding series out there because it's just struggling to survive, and then when you finally like find out how to live in the world, it's like you really feel like you've learned something.
Oh yeah, easy.
Well, there's another thing I do want to bring up. Like during the end of this game, when you finally start the final dive into where S.T.A.L.K.E.R is and where everyone's at, and you're going through, I think it's Libyat. Is that the name of the town?
Lemansk.
The
Lemansk Hospital, which is you're trying to get to the
part
power plant. Was
epic. Like I enjoyed all of that, where you're just going around, you're fighting the monolith. I had a few stalkers with me until they just stopped coming. They didn't die. They just like, we'll stay here and wait. I'm like, what? Come on, go. There's a construction site where there's a huge construction site where you have to take out these monolith guys, and it took me about 30 minutes probably. But I was sitting there hiding. I would lure out someone, take out a guy, save, heal. I mean, it was really fun. I mean, it was epic. Like
it's a really like well-paced section. I say it's not like my favorite thing it's not my favorite aspect of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games, but it's just a really, really well-made. It's like, I think that's the most evident of like their later games with Metro, to show like they knew what they were doing with level design, because you get there and it's like there's a sniper and you have to just get to the end of the hall to kill the sniper, essentially, is the mission.
Right, and there's a lot of that. Like even the last part where you're with a group and you're going through this bunker type building, hallway by hallway, gunning down people. You have a machine gun nest, you have a sniper. Like that was all. I enjoyed everything about that last part. I mean, it's very intense. I died a lot, but still, I mean, it didn't matter.
And it's like a good ramp up too, because you get there, it's like, all right, you got to kill some zombies. Okay, now monolith is attacking you. Now there's a monolith sniper. Now there's a helicopter.
I like the monolith. Anything's better than the damn zombies.
Monolith is a fun group to fight because they're well organized and you feel like you've achieved something when you beat them.
And they give you items when they die. Not as many else.
Before we talk about stuff, they do give you really good stuff. Some of them give you like VSSs and G3s. Before we talk about the end of this game, because it's kind of coming up,
we haven't talked about weapons yet at all, like how they degrade over time.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that. But I just want to ask, what did everybody think of the space anomalies and that aspect of it that was added in?
Will they teleport you?
Yeah, it adds in like a new puzzle mechanic where...
Oh, I hated it.
The whole point of you. Yeah, I know you hated it. But really, I should ask Stefan, what did you think of it?
It was fine. Like,
Yeah.
interesting enough. I mean, again, like anomalies took a backseat in this game. I didn't interact with anomalies anywhere near the first game, which I was really surprised by.
I interacted with them a lot more, but I think that's evident by the fact that I ended the game with a lot of artifacts and you guys ended it with none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always loved that they added in the space-time anomaly because it's just something that's so out there and it feels like it could only exist in the zone of.
Yeah, they talked about like the one Forrester. What's the guy's name that talks about how like the guys were like lost?
Forest Sprayer.
Forrester.
Yeah,
When you
like,
get
that
to the
was
Red Forest, you talk to
story-wise, it was cool. It was interesting.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's the guy that wants you to go get him the compass, which is an artifact, not just a regular compass.
Yeah.
I didn't like that guy because that compass gave me trouble too. I feel like getting.
I thought you were gonna say you didn't like that guy because he talked a lot.
Oh, I mean, they can talk all they like. I just keep hitting the button and kept going. I didn't listen to nothing. I read nothing in this game.
That artifact is a bitch to get. But I always really appreciate it. I was like, the space-time anomalies to me were such a cool idea, especially when you get to that one area. There's like, you get to like a street and there's like 10 of them and they're like overlapping. And it's like, oh fuck, what happened here?
Yeah, that's the part where it's like a puzzle, and I had to look online where it says, duck under here, go and jump. You have to jump on top of this crate to jump into the bus. That's another thing I want to mention, that this is a first-person shooter where I'm not used to this, where you have to do a lot of jumping on top of things to get places.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of platforming that's added in. And
that's why I didn't like Half-Life back in the day when I did play Half-Life, but this is back in like 2004 or 2002.
I love there's a tank in the Red Forest that we mentioned. Like it's got the space anomaly on top of it, and to me that always meant that like, because the tank is like just the only thing in that area. It always meant like the tank like accidentally drove or got sucked into the space anomaly and just got dumped out in the Red Forest. I was like, that's so funny to me.
Yeah,
just like a random military tank in the middle of the woods just got pooped out by a weird space anomaly.
I'm not surprised you find it funny.
It's amusing. It's a thing in
building.
the third game as well, but not to the extent of this game. It exists in the third game, but it's not as rough. Oh,
and as we were talking a little bit earlier about like the final area, I do have something to say about that area. Like, okay, so after you get through this game, like you get close to where S.T.A.L.K.E.R is this whole game, and you kind of find out midway through you've been chasing S.T.A.L.K.E.R to stop him from activating the mission, which, spoiler alert, he does, because this is a prequel. And like that part, they give you the Gauss cannon we were mentioning earlier, and that whole part, I was like, okay, what do I do? And I actually had to do this part twice because my game glitched on me. And
yeah, it did.
I got a couple questions about one. I shot him a ton before he jumped into the first portal, but it did. I don't think the game will let you kill him at that point.
No.
Okay. And as you're running through portal to portal and you're fighting Monolith and you're running through portal, I got to a part where I kept going and he was running up these stairs and I shot him easily 10 times going up these stairs, and he had a sliver of health or a quarter of his health left and he would not die no matter what I did. And
this is kind of like what's his name, Alec Trevelyan on the Cradle and GoldenEye. Like you have to kind of follow him around.
Yeah,
I was hitting him. He just wasn't taking damage for some reason.
Yeah, he's got a if you paid attention to the things that people say at you,
why'd I do that?
He's wearing a psi protector helmet, essentially, that like prevents.
Yeah, but they said you're supposed to shoot him, and then it will eventually. And it just like I was hitting him, but the game wasn't doing anything. The game just wouldn't go forward.
Yeah, because they give you the Gauss rifle. They're like, here, you need to shoot him a lot to like.
I did. I shot him with that. Nothing. Yeah. And then I reloaded my save, went through the whole part, and we never went up the stairs. Instead, he was hiding underneath a freeway, standing by a pillar for some reason.
He might have fallen off somehow.
Yeah, he was just standing there. And I just shot him in the head like 5 times and he died, but I don't know why he was there. He just was there.
That is bizarre. The only thing I can think is like an explosion went off and knocked him off the side. I've never seen that happen before.
It happened in the video I was watching too. That's where he looked down there and found him. I'm like, okay. So I was looking around and I was just teleporting back and forth. Could not find him for the life of me. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with my game? And I was just about to be done and say, okay, I got close enough to the end of this game. Fuck it. And I was very close to doing that. And as I'm running around, all of a sudden I look in the map and I look down, there he is standing there, and I just shot him in the head and beat the game.
Bingo.
That's funny.
I had something similar, but not. He didn't fall anywhere. He did stand there and let me shoot him for a second, though.
Yeah, I like.
It's a weird game.
Yeah, the end of this game is like it's so linear. There's not different endings really. It's just you gotta stop Straylock, and he still sets off the the emission that fries everyone's head, and that leads directly into the beginning of the first game, where
it's a prequel. You can't really have different endings. You kind of have to.
Yeah, it's a really like dark ending, because he sets off the emission, and like it's a image of like you and all the Clear Sky guys like knocked out, and presumably you're going to become part of Monolith in the rest of the games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's dark. Like you fail, but like playing the first game, like failure, I guess, isn't the worst thing to happen.
I had to like check online because I was convinced I got like the worst possible ending, but the ending worse than that is like you actually dying.
Yeah.
I got that ending where it says game over a bunch of times at the end. Like where you go up there to hit the thing and then you don't get it and you just die. I got that ending.
It's interesting because the hallway you see at the end of like all the stalkers who are like, they're all like passed out, and some of them are like twitching like the zombies do, which is really creepy. And it's like a zoom in of like Stalker's arm with the Stalker mark on it, and you're like, oh, okay. They never show Scar in that hallway, so the consensus is that like he's probably dead, but no one knows for sure what happened to him.
Does anybody really care?
I care. Also,
I guess
Nimble
everyone but you, Mike.
Also, Nimble, despite being a member of the Clear Sky faction, manages to survive because he just wasn't there when everything went down, which I find very funny because that means everybody in the Clear Sky faction except for Nimble and the other guy's Novikov, who shows up in the other games, who's like the technician. Every single Clear Sky member went to Pripyat to stop Straylock except for Nimble and Novikov, and they just sat there and they were like, so they coming back, or we just gonna hang out for a little while? Like, what's the plan? And at some point they're like, I guess we'll just go like sell armor. And Nimble's like, hey, I gotta get captured by some fucking bandits.
Fuck it.
I want like I want a movie about the two of them sitting in the base like, haven't heard from Scar in a while. You think they got him?
You're not in any other games, correct? So
Scar does not show up in any other games.
Because he technically probably dies in the end of this.
Presumably, no one knows. He's never shown, so he might have been like disintegrated by being so close to the emission blast at the end. But Straylock lived.
One of those games that you're not, like I said before, you're not playing this for the story. Your characters don't. You're just kind of playing it for the experience of it. I felt.
Yeah, this one's more story driven, but it's still the Stalker world, and the reason I play it is still just to exist in this world. I said it in the our first episode of the first game, but to me, like the games themselves are like the zone within the games, where like you go to the zone and you kind of get like attached to it, and it just stays with you. And that's me playing these games where I might stop playing them, but I never stop thinking about them or like wanting to play them. When we did Clear Sky, I played through Clear Sky and then I immediately played through Call of Pripyat as well.
These past 2 weeks?
Yeah, like I started playing Call of Pripyat actually like in March, just because I was like, I have like a little bit of extra time and I don't want to start Clear Sky too early, so I started Call of Pripyat beforehand and then immediately played Clear Sky. It's like I just want to be in the zone. I love being there.
It's his happy place.
It's my happy place. Surrounded by mutants and bloodsuckers and military guys trying to kill me and bandits. Like, I understand this place. I understand you, world.
So if the world ends, we all meet at Stu's house, right?
Sounds like a plan.
I do. I know Sam does this. I do the thing where I'm driving down the road and I like look at every building. I'm like, that'd be a good place to hold out in a zombie apocalypse. That wouldn't be. That would be.
Too many windows.
What I don't recommend, a couple times I've been stuck in traffic late at night. I don't recommend playing soundtracks from the Resident Evil movie. That will creep you out.
Oh yeah,
I learned that lesson.
All right. Any last things to say before we go to memories, comments, and questions?
Thank God for F5.
Thank God for F5. Yeah.
I wish I would have known about that.
Thank God for the VSS.
Thank God for the VSS.
I don't even know what the VSS is. You keep saying it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's the gun you can get towards the end of the game. That's like suppressed from the get-go, and it has like the really heavy bullets that just go through everything.
I don't think I had it.
That's a shame, honestly.
I didn't have it. That's for sure. I'm looking at it right now. I didn't use it.
You definitely got the FT200 though, because they give you that.
I took weapons off people's bodies and just used those near the end of the game.
Yeah, but at the end of the game, they literally give you your gun changes to that. They're like, this is your gun now.
Okay, so maybe I don't. Hey, the guns worked and they killed people, so I was happy.
It looks like a weird future gun.
All right.
They're like, here, this shoots lots of bullets really fast.
So I posted in
accuracy by volume of fire.
Posted in 4 different groups, but only 2 groups commented. Overblood had nothing to say to me, nor did Laser Sky, or not Laser Sky, official Laser Time. But the Classic Gamers Guild actually had some stuff to say because they're a lot of PC. The first one from Johan D. Wall. He said, "Note: Clear Sky generally isn't regarded as a proper stalker game." Anything to say about that, Stu?
Really?
I understand where people are coming from with that, and I disagree.
Okay.
It's a different stalker game. It's more story driven, and you spend a little less time in the world. And it is a bit easier, as evidenced by the fact that both Mike and Stefan messaged me at the same time. They're like, "This game's easier."
We were wrong.
You were wrong, but you didn't know it yet. So I understand why people say that. I disagree. I think it's a different story in the same world, that it doesn't hit the same beats as effectively, but it still hits them. It's not like my favorite game, but I still love it.
It feels like an expansion.
Yes.
More than anything.
Like a DLC maybe. It's a big game, but it's definitely not as big as the other two, and it's definitely a different kind of story.
I kind of feel bad for that too, because I really want to talk more about this, but it's like, I didn't get a chance to play that first game,
Yeah, the first game's so different. It's I tell people to play all of them. I'm like, if you're gonna start somewhere, this might be a good place to start because it's a little more intuitive. And the first game's such a nightmare to just throw yourself into. But I think they're all worth playing, if anything, just to be able to see just to have the perspective of seeing all 3 games and what this company is capable of across the board.
Yeah, it's like you can play Resident Evil 1 and 2, but you really don't need to play 0. But you can.
We will be.
Can
Someday.
It's like BioShock with me. Play if you're gonna say I'm gonna play 1 in Infinite, it's like, no, play 2 as well, because it does some really cool things. It might not be everyone's favorite of the series, but it's worth playing to understand the series.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
I've unfortunately only played 1 in Infinite. I never played 2 yet.
2 is my favorite, honestly.
2's pretty good.
I think I like 2 better than either of the other ones. I think one is people's memory of 1 is really good, but I went back and played 1 not too long ago, and it's rough.
Oh, and I got a few more comments. Read this one from Justin Parker. "Get out of here, stalker." That's all he said.
Yep.
Come in. Don't stand there. I said come in. Don't stand there.
Not in this game.
Yeah, it's not in this game. They fucking fixed it, those bastards. That was the best part of the first game, which is a weird thing to say, but it was the weird voice lines that would clip. And, hello, 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 hello.
And this one from Christopher Oatis. "Always had a hard time with stalker games. Understandable. I tried to play a few and couldn't figure out what to do. I wanted to appreciate what their cult following does, but could never get over the curve."
That takes
makes
time.
sense.
Yeah, you need to have a friend like me who's willing to force you to play it.
Yep.
You got to start a podcast, and then after 17 episodes, one of your co-hosts put it on the show, and then a year later put another episode on the show.
I think it's a lot like Twin Peaks, where you have to force somebody to watch it, and then they love it, but
then they get it. It definitely took that for me. He was like, no, play it. And of course, I got all 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, you play all 3 Metro games.
Yep.
It's like you really have to force people into it, but it's the weirdest thing where it's like, just play the game. I don't want to. It's good for you. You'll understand. You'll understand when you're older why I did this.
All right. And this one from Patrick Grezinek. I probably pronounced that wrong. So, "Coming from Poland, it was the first game where I got introduced to the game world strongly resembling my own. These estates and landscapes were almost identical to what surrounded me in real life. That was refreshing, exciting, and made the whole thing extremely immersive."
I hope they did not resemble your homeland. That sucks.
Well, I completely understand where he's coming from, because I love the DLC for Fallout 3, Point Lookout. because that's where I grew up. And even though in Point Lookout it is like a swamp filled with hicks that make moonshine and kill you constantly, and there's just like ramshackle shacks everywhere where people fish all day. Like, yeah, this is like, it doesn't resemble where I lived at all, but it takes place where I've been, and I know this area, and so I have like a weird love for it. It's like saying when you play Fallout 3, like you grew up around DC, like that area is. Despite it being like horrific and terrifying and awful, like, I know that building. I knew that building 3,000 years ago when it was built.
That's it. But I mean, in Fallout 3, that whole area is just decimated, though.
Yeah, but there's still like a feeling of like standing on the mall, even though it's like 5 times smaller than the mall in real life.
Right.
Like it's like I know where I like. There's a feeling of like I know where I am. That's just, it's hard to like communicate that. And if you nail that in a game, if you like can make a game to somebody's location and make it effectively, it's like a different kind of love happens there. I think it's like, I just knowing where you are is like really refreshing in a game.
Or seeing an area transformed and knowing where it was, I think it just adds an element that you can't experience in other games.
I'm trying to think of any game that takes place in like Minnesota. I just can't. Doesn't Days Gone happen in like Minnesota or something in the Midwest somewhere?
Yeah, it does. I forget where, and I platinum that game.
I'll find out. I'm going to Google. But as we're figuring that out, let's read some more questions or comments, memories, whatever the hell, from Vinicius Esperigo. I said it completely wrong. When I played, I hated the shooting mechanic. I don't know how to
correct you with that.
Shooting mechanic. The guns are too much inaccurate. This is very frustrating. I just started to have fun with the shooting when I bought the VSS and fully upgraded it for accuracy. Yeah. This is from the S.T.A.L.K.E.R group, by the way. I'm going to be reading the next questions.
Okay, so a lot of Russian names.
Yes.
That sounds like, what the fuck did you just say?
From Ian Baker. Awesome game, but fundamental mechanics were broken. The faction war mechanic.
So a lot of Russian names. From Ian Baker.
Which was Clear Sky's main gameplay advancement over Shadow of Chernobyl, was thoroughly broken. Infinitely respawning bandits made it impossible to defeat them fully. Were they infinitely respawning?
What?
The bandits.
Bandits?
Yeah. More into the area as time goes on. It's not that bad. You kill a couple. They're slow. Like every now.
I disagree with your comments.
They come back and they'll take an outpost every now and then. Once you get the best guns, then they're essentially like shooting like peas at you. You're just like
from
okay.
Alejandro Brites. Clear Sky is not for pansies. Okay. From Daniel Wesnick. I found it disappointing.
I wasn't disappointed, but it was not Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of game.
And this one from Jesse Seberg Gordon. I think one of the biggest problems with his set pieces, I feel like scenes like the hospital and that god-awful finale with the teleporting monolith soldiers and having to continually shoot Strelok with the Gauss rifle tried way too hard to be Call of Duty shooter man. Stalker isn't meant to be on a rail shooter, which I think this game tried too hard to be.
I definitely understand that ideology. I get it. I don't love the teleporting ending. I think it's cool, but it's not what makes the game great.
This is a good one. From Simonis Palvis, said, apart from Red Forest and Swamps, which in my opinion are the best maps in Clear Sky, the game felt the least immersive to me of the whole franchise due to how densely populated with Stalker the maps are. The constant distress signals often took me out of my rhythm. Also, the increased amounts of cover in each map, barrels, boxes, stacks of concrete, etc., made the environment look a bit artificial. Some camps had stacks of concrete in the middle of the field for no other reason than to serve as cover for the improved NPC cover mechanics.
I mean, they would need cover.
Yeah. So last one I'm going to read.
It's going to be fun when we play Call of Pripyat because it's like the perfect balance between the two. I think. Like,
you have to.
Like they did Shadow. Yes, we do. you made me play. You made me play Resident Evil Dead Aim, Mike.
That game lasted 2 hours and it was good, but I know you hated it.
We'll play. It'll be fun because Shadow of Chernobyl, which Stefan will have to play in the meantime. Like. That's like the beloved game in the franchise, and then Clear Sky did something different, and then Call of Pripyat, like I think, found the perfect middle ground between the two and made something like really, really just like really well made. And then they took that knowledge and they were like, well, let's make like one of the best like first-person linear story games of all time, Metro.
Well, I was gonna switch between Pripyat and Shadow of Chernobyl, but like I was having a breeze in Pripyat, and then I switched over to Shadow of Chernobyl and died in like 10 minutes. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back to you. You just hold on to that thought for me.
You stay there.
All right, last question.
My weapons to repair anything? What?
Because this will actually lead into another conversation. From Jolly Tristan, everyone is complaining about how buggy the faction war is, but there are a lot of mods nowadays that fix it for good. Never experienced any bug with the complete mod. For example, this is still very vanilla. So people mod the hell out of this game. We haven't really said that yet.
I'm not sure what bugs they're talking about because it seems to work. As far as I know, it's always worked like pretty well for me. Like occasionally something will happen, but if it doesn't happen consistently, I don't consider it like a problematic bug. Yeah. So it might just be like how I view them. But I love modding games because I play Bethesda games.
You have to, man.
I always worry with being like, oh, like this game's so buggy. I don't ever want to say that if I have like 100 mods installed because I'm like, this game's buggy. It's like, yeah, it's because half your game isn't the fucking game.
Well, I mean, how would you play this game and not have multiple saves anyway? So you could just like get an earlier save and try it again. I mean,
yeah, that's what I did.
Come on.
If you're,
I had 10 saves going.
That's gonna be my speed run for the speed run site. It's gonna be S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl 1 save.
I would die.
Yeah,
in real life, that would kill me.
So hey.
If you die in the game, you have to start over from the beginning.
Oh my god!
You should just constantly say F5 every time you save too.
It'll be the longest speedrun on record. it'll be like number 1, like so and so, 37 minutes, and at the very end, like 9,000th place, like Stuart, 37 hours to completion.
All right, I think we should go to Shelf or Box. All right, let's start with a positive note. So, Stu, why don't you go first?
I mean, obviously, it's going on my shelf. I love this entire series, and I get why people don't love this one as much. And you guys are gonna shit on it, and it's gonna hurt my feelings. But it's actually, it's going on my shelf. I love it. I love the whole series. I love that I like that it's different. I like seeing where the series came from and where it went to, and like where it went after this. It's a great little, because it's still a good game. You can look at it as a whole and enjoy all of it. If it was a bad game, then I would understand more, but I think it's still a great game. I love that it's just in the world of Stalker. I absolutely love the combat and the like tone of the entire game, that claustrophobia that just is with you forever. And it's just a game I play to have fun. As weird as that is, it's just a game I like to play to like kill some stress sometimes. So it's going high up on my shelf. It's not as high as Shadow of Chernobyl or Call of Pripyat, but I still love it.
Okay. How about you, Sam?
So this is a great game, but everything great about it, and I mean everything, is being carried by Shadow of Chernobyl. I think this game is on a piggyback ride, and it introduces some really cool things that, honestly, I'd like to introduce with mods to Shadow of Chernobyl. That being like the weapon upgrades and some of the anomalies. But overall, like, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I think it came down to the pacing, and not seeing things when I wanted to, not seeing as many stuff as I wanted to. There were, almost no anomalies, almost no artifacts, very few bloodsuckers. I would have liked to have spent another maybe 5 hours with the game to kind of explore more. Maybe that would have increased my love, but because of the experience I have, I would say box.
Oh, that's not what
really?
I expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to actually box
Shadow of Chernobyl will always be on my shelf, but I think this one goes in the box.
Interesting.
Okay, that's not. How about you, Stefan?
So again, I really only have this to go off of. When I played Shadow of Chernobyl, I was having fun, but I was only an hour into it, so I really don't. I can't base it off of that like you guys can. So just my experience with this one, it's kind of in my introduction, which funny enough, it's the prequel. So thank God for that. Maybe. I don't know. Like it felt like kind of an adventure, and starting out, what you're doing and what they're explaining to you, and the whole story actually, like you guys say, it didn't really play a role or it doesn't matter, but to me, like I actually was drawn into it. I love the idea of what was going on and all the what are they called, the emissions going off, and I had the ending spoiled for me, but knowing what was going after, that was actually all interesting to me, and I love that, and I love the atmosphere, like just walking around pitch black at night, not knowing where the hell I am, and trying to follow the map. It was pretty linear too. Like I didn't do any of the side missions, obviously. I just kind of blew through it, but I had a lot of fun. The only part that I was just so angry about was those damn zombies. I think the game just was like fuck you, like because there was emissions, there was those like whirlwind things, whatever they are, there was zombies, there was like random snorts or whatever they're called, there was stalkers. Fucking everything was thrown at me at that part, and I hated it, but I got through it. It wasn't enough to break me. I'm going to put the game on my shelf. I actually had a lot of fun.
It's funny how much of the zombies came up in this one and how little zombies came up in the first one.
Yeah.
Zombies just didn't feel as tough in the first one.
Of our first episode.
Yeah, the zombies in this are they're just buffed the hell out of.
They fucking suck. I need a mod for zero zombies. Thank you.
The zero zombies, like how fucking Skyrim has like the arachnophobia mod, like to get rid of the spiders.
Yeah.
No zombies, please.
Only in one part of this game too. Then everything else is fine.
Yep. Just that one part.
Remove zombies. Just make the end easy. Replace it with like monolith guys.
It's saying a lot when zombies are more annoying and hard to deal with than the snorks or whatever they're called.
I've never had like that much. Like the first couple times I played the game, the snorks just kicked my ass. But I don't have any issues with snorks anymore. I just know exactly. Like you can still headshot them. It's hard, but if you get a headshot, they die immediately.
Oh yeah, just getting it.
It's just
key.
getting it.
They move a lot. All right, and I'll go last. I think it's obvious this is going in the box. I enjoyed parts of this game, but I never want to play Clear Sky again. It's not Charlotte Chernobyl. I would definitely play again, maybe in 10 years, and I forget that I ever played it. But really good game. I mean, that was an amazing game. It's fun. This had some really good parts, but I just felt throughout the entire game, I felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was going to die every other minute, which would happen. And some people might love that, like Stu, but I don't like a game where I feel like the game is constantly beating me down and kicking my ass and spitting on my grave. Like it doesn't work for me. So I'm putting it on the box and I'm good until we play the next one someday.
All right, comrade.
I would recommend to anybody out there that like if I almost want to make us play like Shadow Chernobyl again, but with the Misery mod. There's a mod called Stalker Misery, and it's essentially like a overhaul of Stalker that ups the graphics. It makes it look just like absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous looking mod. And it also like changes your HUD to like make it like really grimy, like you're looking through a helmet, and it like makes everything really minimal. And it changes like the way that game is played.
Do you really hate us?
Not all of you. No, I just want to break Stefan at some point.
You came close on this one, man. I was chain smoking. I was slamming vodka shots down. Like, what the fuck?
What's funny is like I'm trying to cut back on smoking, and then playing this game is like, oh, God, I need a fucking cigarette.
Yep, it was like that. Mm-hmm.
All right.
There's another mod out there that's called after we do Call It Perfect. We won't play this because it's just not really a game. It's just it's called Call of Chernobyl, and it takes all three of the games and it just mashes them together into a huge sandbox.
Damn.
It's worthwhile for people. Like there's a story mode, quote unquote, which is just like retelling the story of the original games. But if anyone's ever heard of it and they like the Stalker games, it's worth checking out.
I'm looking it up right now if you're talking.
I will find a way. Maybe someday in the future I'll find a way to like make Mike stream Misery. So they say it would be really funny.
I mean, I've thought about streaming. but that hasn't happened yet.
I've thought about it. I've thought about ways we could do it too a couple times.
Still waiting for Stefan to stream Resident Evil.
Oh yeah.
We should.
I think streaming. I think without like it goes without saying, streaming is going to be in the future of the show somehow.
Yeah, maybe we can somehow fix it up to where I can like professional or hardcore blast run through one of the Resident Evils when we chat about it or something.
Yeah. It'll like it's probably not gonna happen for like a couple of years, but it's something I think all of us individually have thought about.
I mean, the first thing we're gonna get down is this year we're gonna have shirts. That's the first thing.
Yes.
Next month.
Our current like every time we do a show, I'm like, okay, we need like this needs to happen. We need shirts. This is how we up our video, like our audio quality. This is how we add like video eventually. I'm constantly thinking about it. So anytime we get a comment that's like, oh, they're like, you need to up your audio. It's like, I know. Trust me, I know.
Mhm.
Okay, before we introduce what we're talking about next week, I do want to mention again what I mentioned at the beginning of the show. We will have that contest coming. So all you have to do is post anything about the show, and then you're just going to send us a screenshot to gamesmymomfound@yahoo.com or Facebook Messenger, however you want to send it to us. Send us proof that you did it. It can be any group. It can be anywhere you want to post it. A tweet, Instagram. I don't care. Just something saying Games My Mom Found, and it will put you in a drawing to win a copy of Shadow of Chernobyl. So
it's worth it. It's worth it. It's a great game.
From the time of this recording, I'm giving everyone about a week, and if we, depending on how things go, I might even be longer. But the plan right now is 24th Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time because we're when we record. But we'll see.
So those are the only rules, right?
What?
For what we need to have going on this week, there's no other rules to it, so I could enter, right?
You already have a copy of it, so but yeah, there are no other rules to it.
I could sell it off third party.
The only other rule is that if you get a Games by Mom Found tattoo, we'll all individually call you an idiot.
All right,
and give you nothing.
Stefan, why don't you introduce what we're talking about next week since it's your pick?
Oh yeah, so we are talking about another Resident Evil game.
Surprise!
Yeah, I actually wouldn't have put it on the list had I known Mike was going to put Dead Aim on the list.
Okay. We're going to finish that entire series at some point.
No rush.
Mike is trying to finish the Resident Evil series like a parent trying to get a kid to finish like a plate of food. Like you've got to eat the broccoli too.
I'm gonna put Survivor on the show at some point.
Yeah, I don't know, Stefan. You're already through some of the worst aspects, so it should be pretty severe.
Dead aim is the broccoli on the plate. We all had to eat. No, it wasn't. Next week here,
son. Broccoli tastes great.
See,
I hate
it's
broccoli.
good for you too.
Yeah, next week we are playing Resident Evil Outbreak File 1. So
this one's just called Outbreak.
But it is File 1.
Yes.
Fun, yeah.
We could have probably done both, but we don't. We'll do it another
Speaking
show.
of which, File 1, since I'm not going to be a guest on that show, and I'm definitely not upset about that,
okay.
File 1 and File 2 have some of my favorite cover art of all of Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah.
I will not talk about it at all.
Yep, favorite musical scores, too, in the series. But, yeah, so look forward to that. We're actually going to try and do something different and play on the actual servers with each other, so maybe we can do that. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be impressed because we barely ever even talk outside the 1 day a week for the show, so we can never group together. So we're gonna try.
To be fair, a lot of that is me like not wanting to give anything away for games.
Yeah, I know.
You'll ask like a shitload of questions. I'm like, I don't want to tell you what happens. Like,
You just have to let Mike do that.
I can't wait for.
Just kidding, Mike.
Oh God! One of these days we'll get to Resident Evil 4.
That's where we're at there. I mean, in the Rain series, but we still
I really thought we were at there, Mike. I thought the next Resident Evil would have been 4.
Not Dead Aim or Outbreak.
Umbrella Corps.
I thought about it, but there's no single player to talk about. But I thought about it. I've been very tempted to buy it.
Don't even mention it because Mike has already brought it up.
Survivor's coming for sure.
Why are you like this?
Because I'm about to play shit like this.
This is his punishment for us.
I know.
Oh man, you just wait. Oh man.
All right, I think that's about all I need to say before we do our final plugs. First, I want to say, give an awesome shout out to our awesome intro, courtesy of Balby, aka Mike Stoney from ZP Bite the Bullet, Songs Cool Kid Squad. Other thing I want to mention, if you like this show, we have tons of episodes. Please check out episode 17 for the first Stalker episode, even though it might not be the best. I don't know. But listen to it anyway. And I've been covering the MCU movies. We got 3 down. We just released Iron Man 2 this past week, so check that out. That's a pretty good one, I think, from what I remember. We do comic episodes every month, and as of next month, we're going to be doing 2 comic episodes a month because we hate ourselves. We want to put more content.
Well, so by we, you mean you.
Yes.
Some of us like ourselves and play Stalker every month.
So check those out. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I'm constantly trying to post new images of whatever game we're going to be playing. In this case, I'll be posting stuff about for the contest that we're going to do for a week. I probably should have did 2 weeks, but so check that out. And
you can still do 2 weeks.
I know, I might. It depends how many people answer me. We'll see what happens.
We can extend it for a week if we need to.
I might. I think that's about all I need to say. So please, we will see you guys all next week when we play Outbreak, and I'm upset and stressed out.
Yeah.
I already played the first scenario, and I was stressed out.
It'll be fun because we can all take a moment to remind Mike that we have a million games that exist that we can make him play at any time. There's a lot more penumbras out there, Michael.
2 more. There's also other beautiful Joes.
I don't want it to be a punishment for me, too.
I love how much you guys hated Beautiful Joe.
Oh, man.
So this time I wouldn't hate it as much because it'd be emulated this time, so... Perfect was not emulated. All right, that's all we need to say. We will see everybody next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I don't know if my microphone's fucked up or if Mike's just suddenly in a different.
Mike lost like half of his data rate there. His bit rate.
Yeah. Mike, say something.
All right, bye, everybody.
Oh, you
I'm
found
here. Bye.
Oh, you sound like an Autobot.
Bye.
An Autobot now. Transformers.
Cheeky breaky.
All right.
Mike decided to call in for the last 2 minutes.